overwhelming response for our previous webinar, kind of more than we expected. And that clearly proved one thing. So the hiring world is changing much faster than most companies realize today. So before we start, let's quickly understand who are the attendees of this particular webinar to have more context. Shreya, can you launch the poll, please?
Yes, Sharathon. Just a second. I just launched the poll. You all should be able to access it in the chat. There are 5 questions in total. So, yeah. I expect all of you to kindly respond, please. I only see 5 responses so far, and there are 14 attendees. So, yeah. Yeah. Kindly request all of you to please respond so that we can understand who our audiences are and how we can customize our upcoming webinars according to their requirements. All right. So coming to the results, most of our audiences are from the recruitment team uh, at 60%, and 20% people are engineers, and rest 20% are from sales and marketing.
Okay, I think that's a good number. And as we wanted to talk to recruiters, I think that's a good opportunity for us. So thank you, Shreya. So starting with today, we are diving into a topic that is even more urgent and more critical, the future of first round interviews. By the end of this session, you would definitely understand why AI-led first round interviews are not just a trend, they are becoming the default workflow. If you think about it, the first round is the most important stage of hiring. And it is also the most inefficient, inconsistent, and overlooked part of the process. It consumes the most time, gives the least signal, and often frustrates both candidates and recruiters. And here is the big shift. The way companies conduct first round interviews is fundamentally transforming right now, globally, across industries, across roles. And in the next 18 to 24 months, AI powered interviews won't be a competitive advantage. They would be the new standard. So today's session is going to be highly practical, built on real conversations we have had with recruiters, CHROs, and hiring managers. Every section below to its builds towards one thing: how to run first round interviews in a way that is faster, fairer, and significantly more predictive of a job performance. So let's start with something nobody in recruitment openly admits. First round interviews as they exist today are fundamentally broken. Not because recruiters aren't doing their job, not because candidate lacks preparation, but because the entire design of first round interview process is outdated for the reality of hiring in 2025. We have to call this out clearly. First round interviews simply do not scale, and they consume most of the recruiter hours than any other stage of hiring. Today's first round interviews are repetitive, the same 8 to 10 questions, same answers, same pattern. They are time consuming, heavy recruiter hours for low signal conversations. They are rushed and transactional. 10 to 20 minutes squeezed between the calendars. They are very subjective. Different interviewers, different thresholds, different expertise levels, different biases all come into evaluation process. They are hard to standardize. Scoring is ad hoc. Notes are inconsistent. Difficult to scale, but more rules creating more noise, but not a better signal. Mostly elimination, designed to filter out rather than surface the potential. Now, I want you to notice something interesting. If you walk into 10 different companies and observe their first round interviews, you will see the exact same ritual repeated like a clockwork. The recruiter locks in, they greet the candidate, they ask the same 8, 10 questions. Tell me about yourself. Why are you changing for a change? What do you know about this company? Walk me through your experience, or what's your expected CTC? So different companies, different roles, different recruiters, and at the same predictable pattern. And here is the uncomfortable truth. We are using a high cost human to capture low quality, repetitive, and predictive information. But it goes deeper than that. Most people assume first round interviews are about evaluating talent. But if you look closely at what really happens in the first round, they are not actually the evaluation sessions at all. They are elimination sessions. The first round's true purpose today is not to discover potential, it's to rule people out as quickly as possible. Companies say they are looking for signals. In reality, they are looking for reasons to say no before they invest time in a deeper conversations. But here is a problem with that approach. When humans are under pressure, when the process is repetitive, and when time is limited, they don't eliminate the wrong candidates. They eliminate the unpolished candidates. They eliminate the introverted candidates. They eliminate nervous ones. They eliminate the ones who need one extra minute to warm up. And often they eliminate the right hires. What exactly happens with this process is recruiters use heuristics, like someone sounding confident seems motivated, or someone is having a good voice maybe. This impact the recruiter's judgment. Candidates perform rehearsed intros, prepare for a checklist answers, and hiring managers trust low fidelity notes to decide who gets an in-person interview. And this matters the most. It results in high recruiter cost and low predictive value, which is equivalent to wasted time and missed hires. Candidate experience even suffers. Recruiters lose top talent due to delays and inconsistency. There is an organizational risk too. With this biased filters, uneven diversity outcomes, the longer time to fill. Let me be clear here. Recruiters are not the problem. Recruiters today are more of a superheroes. They juggle 20, 30 open roles, hundreds of resumes, dozens of calls, and internal pressure to deliver strong candidates fast. But here is the reality. Humans are not built to repeat the same structured evaluation 40 times a week. We are not built to maintain perfect objectivity across all the time slots. Humans are not built to scale evaluation at scale with consistency. By the time a recruiter is on the seventh call of the day, the screening threshold subconsciously shifts. There is a cognitive fatigue that affects. Screening is repetitive mental labor. Decision threshold drift during the day. Earlier candidates are judged more harshly or more leniently depending on the mood and calendar pressure. Some candidates get lucky because recruiter is energized in the early morning, and some get unlucky because the recruiter is tired. Some get rushed because the previous call ran late. They also adopt heuristic shortcuts. Recruiters rely on shortcuts like tone, the pacing of the candidate, resume familiarity of the candidate because they lack the standardized data. These shortcuts introduce systematic bias. Some candidates judge on the accent, confidence, energy rather than the capability. And there is definitely this tooling mismatch. ATS fields are rigid. Manual notes are free text. No structured signals are captured to allow a fair comparison. And the final decision depends on two lines written in the resume. In the ATS notes, the notes that even recruiter won't remember after a couple of weeks. Most importantly, there is an incentive misalignment. Recruiters are often rewarded for moving candidates to funnel speed, not for the predictive quality of the shortlist. So they optimize the throughput or signal. This isn't bias, this is biology. On the other hand, if you look at the candidates' realities, candidates are also stuck in the system that works against them. Candidates rehearse the same story for 10 plus companies because they don't know what each interviewer wants. Benefits from rehearsals coach candidates well more than the raw talent. They repeat the same interaction 15 times across companies, leading to reputation burnout. Scheduling windows and time zone mismatch pushes some qualified candidates out of the funnel. They wait days to schedule a 10 minutes call, leading to access friction. Nervousness, language fluency, or background noise can be misread as lack of capability. They get judged within the first 30 seconds because humans form impressions fast, leading to stress signal contamination. And candidates rarely receive reasoned feedback. So they can't improve or often assume resume rejection is arbitrary. And they almost never know what they were evaluated on. No rejected candidate is sure about the reason why they have been rejected. There is definitely this feedback vacuum. The first round interview is supposed to be the fairest and the lowest pressure one. But in reality, it is often the most arbitrary, most inconsistent, and most stressful. These inefficiencies never make into the dashboards. They don't appear in the hiring metrics. They happen in the cracks of the process. But together, they slow companies down by weeks. Recruiters are burning hours on low signal conversations. Hiring managers are drowning in inconsistent notes, and candidates are stuck in scheduling hell. Meanwhile, top candidates accept offers elsewhere because speed wins in hiring. Your ability to hire is now a speed game, not just a quality game anymore. Humans make brilliant final decisions, but they're terrible at doing the same repetitive evaluations 50 times a week. When a recruiter is on their fifth call or sixth call of the day, the energy changes, the patience changes, judgment get affected, like I mentioned earlier. Not because they're bad at their job, because the job is designed in a way that humans were never meant to handle. We are trying to solve a volume problem with a human process solution, and that's why the system breaks. There are also other inefficiencies in the reality, which we call hidden bias vectors. There is this voice and accent bias. Confidence is judged via cultural norms. There is a presentation bias where candidates with interviewing coaching perform disproportionately well but underperform in the next rounds. Recency and primary effects. A first or last interview stick in memory disproportionately, and we don't remember the things that happen in between. There are halos or horns. One positive or one negative trait influence the overall judgment. There are other organizational leak points too. Two recruiters will describe the same candidate in incompatible ways. Decision become political, so there is not inconsistency. Hard to show why a candidate moved forward or got rejected. Compliance and diversity inclusion suffer. There are no audit trails. Adding more recruiters increase variance, not accuracy, leading to scalability ceiling. Here is the key insight I want you to remember from this webinar. First round interviews fail not because humans are inefficient. They fail because the job of first round is inherently mechanical. Think about it. We ask the same questions, we expect the same structure in response, we evaluate the same five signals: clarity, motivation, understanding, skill baseline, and professionalism. We make the same pass or fail decisions. It's predictable, it's measurable, it's standardized. It is literally the definition of the process that should be automated and optimized. We are forcing humans to do repetitive pattern-based evaluation, a task that pattern recognition intelligence does infinitely better. Most organizations try to fix broken first rounds by hiring more recruiters, adding more interviews, expanding the hiring panel, doing more calls, adding more steps. And every one of these fixes increase the cost, increase the friction, and also holds inconsistency. And the organizational cost is real. As recruiters' time is expensive, every hour spent on low signal screens is an hour not spent sourcing top talent or building relationships. The candidates experience suffer too. Long scheduling delays, opaque rejections, and no meaningful feedback. The consequence, talent slips away, often to faster, less bureaucratic companies. This is not a moral judgment, it's a system insight. When a process asks human to do what machines can do better, repeat consistent evaluations at scale, humans break the process. They take shortcuts, they rely on heuristics, they introduce variance. Because you cannot scale a broken system by adding more humans. You have to change the design of it. We spoke to over 100 hiring managers, and the insight was very clear. First rounds aren't about deep skill, they're about signal. Start by acknowledging one simple truth. The signals we need in the first round are not mystical, they are measurable. Is this person serious? Can they articulate basic ideas clearly? Do they understand the role and industry? Do they show the right intent? Or do they have the minimum skill needed to proceed forward? These five signals can be defined, anchored, structured, and predictable pattern-based signals. When something is structured, it becomes measurable. That is what a first round interview should be. Not a theater, not a memorization, not an elimination, but signal extraction. That's the practical pivot. Design the first round to be standardized, fast, and signal rich. Give recruiters structured rubrics so every candidate is measured against the same defined anchors. Use asynchronous options to remove scheduling friction. Capture transcripts and objective metrics so hiring managers stop relying on fuzzy memory. Do this, and these two things could happen. You cut the hours of time out of the process, and you make the shortlist far more predictive. More importantly, you create a fairer system, one where candidates are assessed on consistent criteria rather than on who performed best under a rushed human fatigue environment. If you lead today with one thought, let it be this. First round interviews should not be about theatrical elimination. They should be about the surface and the signal. If your process can't do that reliably, it's not the people's problem, it's a design problem. And design can be fixed. That's where exactly A interviewers shine. Not in replacing the human judgment, but in capturing these early signals with surgical precision. So we have a couple of frameworks that help us to standardize our first round interviews. So standardize talk about design 6 to 8 canonical props per role family. Define the rubrics with anchors. Triage. Use Async plus AI to pre-score and produce 90-second summary for recruiters. Audit. Monthly fairness and performance audit have accuracy by demographic, transcription error rates, false positive or negative rates. Normalize. Calibrate the rubrics quarterly versus hiring managers outcome. Who passed the second round or who accepted the offer? What is the 6 months performance? Deploy. Start with one role family. Measure before expanding. And the other framework is strict pillars of trust building. Maintain transparency. Show the rubric and sample outcomes. Local validation is essential. Test with your own data. Don't trust vendors' claims alone. Have a human in the loop always. Keep human review thresholds for close calls and appeals. So human interviews don't disappear. They're actually evolving. AI handles the high volume objective repeatable screening. Humans reclaim the high value nuanced work where judgment, empathy, domain expertise, and negotiation matter. Together, they cut the time to hire, reduce bias, and improve hiring quality. Think of hiring as a telescope and a microscope. where AI is the telescope. It scans broadly, identifies interesting targets at scale. Humans are the microscope. They zoom in and examine the details that predict long term success. The hybrid model simply pairs the best of both. So signal extraction at scale. So there's a tone, there is a fluency, what A is actually best at. There's a response latency, there's a topical coverage, there's an answer structure. And consistency, talk about the same questions, same scoring rubric, no fatigue. Speed and availability, asynchronous interviews, instant transcripts, 24/7 candidate access. Baseline safety checks, the red flags, probably the misrepresentations or the gaps surface quickly. Structured artifacts, standardized reports for fair comparison and audit trails. A isn't magic, it's just a disciplined measurement. When you measure the right signals consistently, you make human decisions easier and less noisy. When it comes to human, contextual judgment is where the humans are good at. The understanding the domain depth, unusual career paths, complex problem solving. To identify the cultural and team fit, they can evaluate empathy. They can check the team chemistry, have a overview on the judgment of unstructured fit signals. Strategic hiring, assessing future potential leadership rights, cross-functional fit, negotiations and empathy, handling offers, career conversations, counter offers, and final accountability for hiring outcomes and ethical decisions. A gives us a shortlist. Humans decide whom to trust with influence, team culture, and mission critical work. That remains and will remain human. Most leaders today accept automation for repetitive tasks. Payrolls and reporting, we have already implemented those and being used in our day-to-day life. But they bark at the human decisions. If you reframe early interviews as structured signal collections, it becomes both defensible and strategic. Humans keep control where it matters. Machines add fidelity where humans struggle. So this is the shift that's already happening across industries in tech, in BFSI, manufacturing, BPO, SaaS companies are quietly transitioning. They are realizing that the first round should be automated, the second round should be human, and the combination creates the most accurate hiring funnel possible. This is the design shift. It's not about replacing humans, it's about allowing humans to do a part of hiring humans are actually good at in terms of deep judgment, rapport building, problem solving, and cultural assessment. And let technology handle the reputation and let the humans handle the nuance. AI first interviews aren't about automation, they're about precision. This new model doesn't ask generic questions, it adapts, it listens, it analyzes, it compares candidates against structured role benchmarks and gives the hiring teams what they desperately need, the consistency, the speed, and an actionable insight. Humans get to do what they're best at in terms of deep conversations, final judgment, and building relationships. And AI does what it's best at pattern detection, signal extraction, and objectivity. So let's pause for a second and look at what early adopters of AI-led first round interviews are already experiencing now. These aren't hypothetical projections. These are real world outcomes coming from companies that decided to rethink the very foundations of screening. Most hiring teams today are drowning not because they can't find talent, but because they're wasting effort on low intent, low fit applications. When AI handles the first touch of evaluation, recruiters reclaim 70% of their time that can now be invested in the meaningful human conversations, in the strategic hiring, and also in nurturing high potential candidates. And 50% faster shortlisting. What used to take days, sometimes weeks, is now happening in a few hours. AI doesn't get tired. It doesn't get biased by 4 p.m. energy slump. It doesn't lose consistency. Shortlisting becomes a real-time operation, turning hiring into an engine instead of a bottleneck. So 3x more accurate soft skill scoring. So this might be most important shift. Traditional interviews are notorious for subjective soft skill judgment. Two interviews viewers listening to the same candidate can walk away with a different conclusions. With AI-powered behavior analysis, companies are seeing triple the accuracy in identifying communication clarity, problem-solving structure, confidence, empathy, and also leadership signals. It means few hiring mistakes. 40% reduction in early stage drop offs. Candidates drop off early not because they aren't interested, but definitely because the process drains them. Scheduling delays, slow feedback, poor experience, and too many touch points. A flips this. Candidates can interview anytime, midnight or lunch break or even the weekend. The entire experience becomes frictionless. As a result, companies are seeing a 40% reduction in early stage drop offs simply because they finally align the process with candidates' behavior in 2025, not 2005. So candidates report better experience due to flexibility. For years, we have tried to fix the candidate experience with emails, nurturing campaigns, and branding. But the reality is experience improves when friction disappears. When candidates get to interview at their convenience, when they know they are being evaluated fairly, when the process is predictable, they feel respected. Flexibility is not a feature anymore, it's a new currency of the hiring. Hiring managers get cleaner, deeper insights. Hiring managers don't want to see 40 mixed quality CVs. They want signal, not a noise. A-powered structured scoring presents hiring managers with fewer candidates, but with a richer contest. Competency heat maps, behavioral breakdowns, communication patterns, comparative scoring, or outlier analysis. So instead of guessing based on a resume summary, they are now making decisions with a tangible insight. It transforms the quality of second round conversations. Instead of tell me about yourself, it becomes let's dig into your approach in solving X problem because your analysis was impressive. So that is where great hiring actually happens. So these numbers aren't just improvements, they signal a paradigm shift, a move from manual intuition led screening to data driven insight first evaluations that unlock human time for human conversations. This is how the world's most forward thinking teams are redefining the first round interviews. And this is exactly the impact the hybrid model A first round and human second round creates. So, what exactly is this AI interviewer? So, if we look at human interviews, what actually happens there? We try to examine the resume and ask questions from it to validate the information in the resume and also know more about the candidate potential. Also, as a recruiter, I have a checklist of certain requirements. So we try to ensure whether the candidate can checklist or can tick maximum of those checklists. Apart from that, we also want to understand their personality, the soft skill side of things. So after researching and decoding hundreds of interviews, we have structured our AI interview in a similar fashion that makes it an human interviewer simulation. So it's a personalized interview that is conducted based on the JD and resumes. So the questionnaire would be different for all. It's recorded, it's a proctored, so no malpractices and involved. If any caught, it would be captured and displayed to the candidate along with the recruiter. So post interview, it generates a detailed report that enables the recruiters to take data driven hiring decisions. So we have a sample video recording of the AI interview. I think I would share this to all of our attendees post this webinar. So once the interview is actually happened,
to take this interview in a quiet room.
so once the interview is finished, it generates a detailed report with a maximum of data points. We see a lot of insights. What is the A match score? What is the interview match score? What is the overview of skill fit? We have experience match, we have joining probability, we have a retained behavior, we have a resume authenticity and industry fit or insights. We have a video recording of the interview along with the transcripts as well as proctoring malpractices card. And yeah, the report doesn't end there. It also includes if you look at the expertise section, it talks about whether the candidate can do my job or not. if the candidate can do my job, whether would he join in my company or not, is he a good fit to my company or not, what is the joining probability of this candidate, and what is the resume authenticity of the candidates. Today we are stuck with research says around 80% of the resumes are fabricated or AI generated today by researchers. So most of the hiring managers say that 95% of the resumes are being AI generated. So they are trying to manipulate the facts, and they're trying to do a kind of marketing job to inflate the information in the resume. So we have an overview on the role fitment. Is it recommended to hire, and why is that? So we have a transition behavior. Okay, if this person can join in my company and he is skillful to do my job, will he stick to the company or not? Hey, evaluation talks about what is the clarity and consistency of the candidate. What is there any red flags? What is his alignment to our company? And it also gives an overview of the strengths, the concerns, and their areas of improvement. So I would now jump into the product. What exactly is this ICOM, and what exactly is the into how does it look like? So here, if we look at, this is the dashboard, and I have created a job for myself, and I have also imported a resume here. So this is the job, and I can see the applications over here. So I have imported my resume over here and brought the application into system. So this is how I have given one. So I have my interview score is 14%, as I didn't take fully. I have the role fitment is maybe high because candidate possess some relevant skills and experience, but improvements are required. Need to reevaluate candidate clarity on ideas and communication in the upcoming rounds. So the experience section, the joining probability is met, transition behavior is average, resume authenticity 80% unique, and AI evaluation 56% aligned. Clarity is moderate with some inconsistencies in the interview answer about salary expectation discussed. And also my strengths, entrepreneurial background, experience in product management and product development cycles, risk, potential lack of focus due to diverse experience, and areas of improvement, develop a stronger understanding of interview best practices. So here I have a recording of the video, what happened in the interview. And apart from that, I have there are a couple of malpractices that's been captured. Multiple voices have been detected during this interview. So it's just a simple mechanism how we can trigger that. So I can schedule. I have integrated my email ID so that I'm requesting an interview to this candidates. There are three rounds, three categories of interviews. One is a pre-screening. Usually, it looked like a first HR call to understand the availability, the willingness, the location, the budget expectations, and basic role fit. And video interview is more of a 20 minutes comprehensive interview, which simulates to a human interview, just like a human interview. It's a video call, it's a voice and video call, it's proctored, it's recorded, it asks questions to the candidate, it listens to the answer from the candidate, it asks a follow-up question to the candidate. So based on the whole interview, it generates a detailed report at the end. So I can trigger it in a interview. So I have received a mail with a link. So this is the candidate, how the candidate is experiencing this. So candidates say this welcome note along with it asks for a selfie along with 360-degree room capture. Okay, I think I need to turn off the camera for the meeting. So
Hi, sorry
So
for
can you
the
hear
start.
the
I am Icom,
beat
your AI
sound of the
interviewer.
screen?
Great job so far. This
Yes,
next
it's
step helps
audible.
our AI models evaluate your skills, learn your expertise, understand your true potential, and get insights on your personality, something beyond your resume to help recruiters in data-driven hiring decisions. This interview consists of a basic HR round, resume evaluation, personality assessment, and job description fit. It is recommended.
It requires the entire screen along with the uh, system audio, and it would take me to the full screen. Now this is where the interview look like. Okay.
Let's start. Can you briefly tell me about yourself?
Hi, this is Sharath. I'm working as product manager in Sympnice. So in Sympnice, I have built a product called Lycum, which is an AI interviewer. So that simulates the human interview. Yeah.
That's helpful context you've provided. Can you describe your preferred work style?
So we have a HR round, and there are a few questions that are related to HR, and there are
No
some
worries. What
uh,
motivates you at work?
So I'll quit this. So there is a HR round, there is a resume validation, which usually verifies the information that is present in the resume. And there's a JD fitment, it checks whether the candidate checks all the requirements of the JD. And there's a personality assessment where it understands the soft skill side of the things. So this is supposed to go for 20 minutes more. Um, so I would show you a sample interview how that actually look like.
Yeah, it's recommended to take this interview in a
An issues sometimes the memory will get into peak, and all of this what I learned is we need to take this situation very calmly. Just go first, let's understand what is the issue, and later go through the how we will understand the issue is by going through the logs, and according
So if you look at there's the HR related questions, and if we move forward, there's a resume
how
validation
to use the
happening.
cloud formation.
It
And
picks out
we
the
also
questions
created
that
the
from the
pipeline
information
where
from
when we
JD
committed to
plus resume.
particular branch, right,
So
the
the each
pipeline
interview
itself trigger
stays
automatically and it used to update
personalized
the
to
new
each candidates at reminding the report to be consistent. So this is in short about ICOM. And any questions from attendees?
Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Yeah, hi.
Hey, hey, this is Prashant. Can you help me this thing? What if a candidate drops in between? What, how will he rejoin? Will it continue from there? What happens there?
So the candidate is not supposed to drop in between. The problem is
Mm-hmm.
once the candidate drop, it would rechecks whether to end the interview or not. So they can cancel it if they wanted to, if they are really interested in the opportunity and they want to proceed forward. So they can cancel that. So if they once they submit or once they end the interview, it would automatically notify the recruiter and they can see the report right away.
I'll tell you, the problem usually when we are hiring, right, people have some network issues because most of the people are working from remote these days. They have
Yeah.
network issues and they usually drop and join back, which is fine with us, right? Because like we
Okay.
understand them. So how does this
Okay.
handle the same?
So if the internet connectivity is low, it do runs with a low latency. So that is one. And yeah, I think current system doesn't allow the use case which you mentioned. And are you saying that that is a mandatory or most seen
Not
scenario in
mandatory,
the
like I was
recruitment?
just, yeah, not mandatory, but usually when we're hiring, as the trend changed, right? These days people are
Yeah.
traveling and they're attending interviews. So usually,
Right.
what we see is people suddenly lose power because let's say they're giving interview from an Airbnb, and then they
Okay.
just connect back, and then they connect usually connect to the hotspot, and then they connect back, and then we continue our interview. But I'm just
Okay.
thinking like, what happens in this case?
Okay. So how often you come up see those use cases? Like out of 100 interviews, is this a major phenomenon you observe?
I won't say it's a major roadblock or thing, but I'm just curious to know like whether we have handled it or how does it look.
Yeah, I think the currently the design system is not designed to handle the drop and join support. It's a one-time go thing. So once the end the interview, they so if the network got broken, it reconnects. So that is not an issue. So, but if the candidate ends the interview, then the report is automatically generated and they are not allowed to take anymore. Yeah, probably they can request the recruiter again to re-trigger it
Mhm.
and they can start fresh.
Yeah, I'm also not asking about the case where candidate explicitly clicked the end interview, but like network outage.
Yeah.
Not the case.
Yeah, I don't think that would be a problem because the cookies work well in this use case. So I shouldn't see that as an issue when there's a network jump.
Mhm. Understood. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah,
Hi, am I audible?
yeah, you're right.
So you just mentioned that if a candidate loses their connectivity and they drop, they could always ask the recruiter to re-trigger the whole process, right? So my question is, the questions have already been shared with the candidate, right? So don't you think there's a chance of them preparing for the same questions and then asking the recruiter to re-trigger it?
Okay, so since the AI is generating questions every time, so even if you ask something to the chat GPT, the outcome varies a bit. Even if you ask a chat GPT to give a resume JD math score, the result is slightly different and variant. So that is one. When there is a prediction happening, when there is a AI generation is a prediction, right? Based on the past data, it predicts. When there is a prediction happenings, prediction can't be same with respect to every time. So second thing is these questions are designed to understand the candidate. So it's not like the questions get leaked or they already know the questions. Our intention as a recruiter is to understand the candidate. If the candidate is aware of the questions, I think at least he would come prepared. I think you should have them. You should take them to the proceed them to the next round because they have spent very good amount of time in understanding the questions and in preparing themselves to fit it into the contest. So and these are not kind of JE kind of questions, right? These are mostly someone has mentioned increased growth metrics by 20%, and the A is asking them how did you do it? How did you increase that? So in any scenario, we are trying to understand the candidate. The AI is trying to understand the candidate. So it is good. I don't think it would create a lot of difference even if they know the questions. And most of the time, the questions are not 100% same in when they're taken twice.
Thank you, both.
Yeah. Does it answer your question?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Thank you. So, any other questions we have from our attendees? So I think let's conclude. If we don't have any questions, let's conclude this with maybe a small poll. Shreya, can you bring the poll to screen?
Yeah, it's live.
Yes, is someone speaking? So, how many of the attendees here have actually tried an AI interviewer till date? May I know, can you just hands up with a emoji? Yeah, I think we got a few responses who said, "Do you should try a interviewer today?" 100% of people have responded this. I think that's a good conclusion to our webinar. Thank you so much for attending, and I hope you got got some value from this webinar. Looking forward to see you in more webinars and enlighten with new enhancements in the technology. Thank you.